8. Fifth to ninth insight. From dissolution to danger to disenchantment. Then wanting to be free and the wisdom to not run away. Before I talk about the Vipassana insight, I want to clear my mind of something that I have been thinking for the last 2 days. On the evening of 27th of March I heard some very terrible news, and since then I have been feeling very sad for the people involved in what happened. In Southern California, 39 people committed suicide. Why? I do not know the details of the story, but no matter why they killed themselves, it is not a good thing to do. This shows that people want something more than just money and sense pleasure. They want guidance and teaching. They want good leaders. But they did not have a good leader. They were misled. Death is not a solution. There is no good reason to die. I will tell you a few things about the Buddha and some of his disciples who had attained arahantship. When the great disciples of the Buddha attained arahantship, and then they lived as long as they can live, as long as it is natural for the body to live. They know when they are going to die, that means when they are going to parinibbana. For an arahant, death is not the same as for the majority of people. The majority of people, when they die, some qualities are reborn again, the process continues. But arahants just pass away, and that is the end of the process. Not a being dying, but a process coming to an end. So, these great disciples came to the Buddha and said, I am going to do my parinibbana on such a day, at such time. The Buddha never said to do it or not to do it, because to tell them not to do it is to be attached to life, to living, which the Buddha never encouraged. But telling them it is a good thing to do, it would be praising death. Do you know what the Buddha said in those situations? You know your time for parinibbana. It is very important to understand why the Buddha said this. He never said do your parinibbana or don't do it. He never praised either. Death is not a solution. We cannot solve anything by dying. If it was a good solution, it would be very nice. When I was very young, I thought that if there was no life anymore, it would have been good, just to die. But you will be reborn. This is the truth. What you do now and how you die will affect your future life. Even if we have to die, we should learn how to die well. With awareness. Death should never be used as a solution. Buddha never praised death. I feel very sad for those people who committed suicide. They really wanted something and they were prepared to pay with their lives. They wanted to give up sense pleasure and even their life for something better. That is not a good solution, and that also shows that society is very unsatisfactory. A lot of people have money and enjoy sense pleasure, but they are not happy. I do encourage people to join a group, but you have to choose very carefully. You have to know what the goal is and what the teaching of the group is. Here we know what we are doing. We know our goal. Never follow a teacher blindly, not even me. The Buddha did not encourage people to follow him blindly. Most of you know the Kalama Sutta. Buddha spoke about not believing. That is very important, that teaching is very revolutionary. It is very important to understand the Dhamma very well. Even a Buddhist sometimes misinterprets the teaching to suit their ideas. Nobody can stop it, but if you know the real basic teaching of the Buddha, you can find out whether it is true or not. There are many salient points by which it can be tested. Now, continuing our discussion on Vipassana. What I am trying to do is this. Because when some people write or talk about Vipassana, I have noticed that what they wrote or said is incorrect. They were trying to talk about Vipassana, but what they said is not really accurate. What they interpret as insight or enlightenment is not true. That's why I am trying to give, in simple language, a very clear explanation of what insight means and what enlightenment means. So that you can understand if anybody talks to you about it, whether it is true or not. That's why I am also giving the Pali quotations, which are the Buddha's words. These are the criterion. You can test it. Today I'll talk about the fifth insight. The first four are very important. We need to go slowly and in detail. But once you reach the fourth, the rest becomes easier. The first insight is difficult, the second and third not very difficult, the fourth difficult. If you keep practicing, the fifth will follow naturally. Because in the fourth insight you see arising and passing away very clearly, both arising and passing away, and then arising and passing away, very clearly. In the fifth insight the arising and passing away becomes quicker, faster. So, after a while you see passing away and arising passing away. You don't pay as much attention on the arising, although you can see it if you pay attention. But you pay more attention to the passing away, disappearing, not there anymore. You pay attention and it is not there anymore. The moment you try to note, to see something you see it is gone. You cannot really see it anymore. You only see a glimpse of it and it's not there anymore. So that is one aspect or factor of the fifth insight. Another important factor is that, when you notice something like a sound, you hear the sound and it is gone. You notice any kind of sensation in the body, and the moment you notice it is gone, it is not there anymore. But you also know that the noting mind is also gone. In the same process without any interruption, without any thought coming in between, you can see both gone. So I'll give you the Pali word. Nada. Nada means known, something noticed. When you pay attention to an object, that object is called nada, that which is known or noticed. So first the meditator sees that this object is gone, passed away. Then nana. Nana means the consciousness with wisdom, which notices that something is gone. Seeing that something is gone, it is wisdom, it is anixanana. So this meditator watches the object and sees that this object arises and passes away. But he sees the passing away very clearly, it's gone, it's not there anymore. And also the vipassana wisdom, the consciousness, accompanied by that wisdom, also is gone. So nada, object, is gone and nana also is gone. In the same process with every noticing, every time the person pays attention, he sees both of them together without any effort, without trying to see both of them passing away. Just in one noticing, one follows the other automatically without any thought in between. That is a very important and distinct factor of the fifth insight, which is called Bhainganana. Bhainga means dissolution, disappearing. At this stage, every time the meditator is meditating, no matter what the object is, even the movement, without paying attention to the shape anymore but to the sensation, the meditator is aware of the sensation and the very fast passing away one after another very clearly. All the shapes and solidity disappear, which means that you don't pay attention to shape and solidity anymore. You pay attention only to sensations and their passing away very quickly. Seeing the object passing away very quickly is the first Bhainganana, Patama Bhainganana. Seeing the wisdom passing away is the second Bhainganana, Dutiya Bhainganana. The two together make the Bhainganana complete. In any insight there is the beginning and the maturity of insight. In the beginning you see the object passing away very quickly. When this becomes more mature, stronger, you see the passing away of consciousness, vipassana consciousness, and the wisdom also passing away together. You notice one thing, that passes away, and that consciousness which is aware of that passing away also passes away. Passing away does not mean changing into another form. This is a point I would like to clarify. Anixa does not mean changing and existing in another form. What anixa means is disappearing, not being there anymore. Non-existence, abhava, of the phenomena. The phenomena arise and pass away, and do not exist anymore in any other form. In quantum physics about subatomic particles you can understand this. No form, no shape, just energy. Robert Oppenheimer said that if you ask, does an electron stay in the same position? The answer is, no. Does it change? The answer is, no. Does it stay? The answer is, no. Does it move? The answer is, no. An electron is just a theoretical model, something disappears and something arises. There is a link between them, but they are not the same anymore. To explain Bhainganana there are many Pai words used. Kaya means something that comes to an end, something used up. Vaya has the same meaning. Beta the same meaning, dissolution, Nara coming to an end. All these words mean the same. So in Pali Sayadaw Vayato Disva VSM 641, seeing that it doesn't exist anymore. It exists for a very short moment, that's all, and then it doesn't exist anymore. You can see this in all your 6 dvara, sense doors: eye, ear, nose, body, tongue, and also the mind. In all those 6 sense bases, whatever you notice it barely and it is not there anymore. You can see that in all sense bases, not just in one. So the object passes away, and this, vipassana, consciousness is aware of that object passing away. And another consciousness is aware of that vipassana consciousness passing away also. So, seeing the first object passing away and seeing the consciousness which becomes an object of the next consciousness, Puramavatthado Evattha. And that consciousness also passes away, one can see many layers, many times. But it is not necessary to see so many times. But at least you see the object passing away and the vipassana meditating wisdom consciousness also passing away. That is quite enough actually, but it can go on many times. The person is seeing passing away so clearly that he is not even paying attention to the arising anymore. In the 4th insight he pays attention to the rising and passing away very clearly, and in the 5th he pays attention only to the passing away. He does not pay attention to the arising anymore. In the very beginning of the practice we see arising only, not passing away. Before we see something passing away we see something else arising again. After a while we see arising and passing away. After this, we see only passing away. That is how the maturity of insight develops. Udayam Pahya Ve Santithana. PTSA I.258. Ignoring, Pahya, arising, Udayam, the mind stays, Santithana, in passing away, Ve. The mind observes passing away only. That makes the understanding of impermanence very strong. That is the culmination of the understanding of anicca. In the seeing of the passing away there is nothing between. The mind does not get distracted to anything else. Very few thoughts come in at this stage. In the first insight meditators think a little bit. In the second they think a lot about the cause of the arising, noticing, and thinking. In the third insight there is more thinking about the meditation, about anicca, dukkha, and anatta. The fourth insight has less thinking. In the fifth insight, there is almost no thinking at all. You cannot think about it. Passing away is becoming very fast and there is no time to think about it. It goes on like that until it comes to the ninth insight. In the eighth and ninth insight some thinking comes back again, but it is only about Dhamma, not worldly affairs. Here are some similes given about Bainganana. 1. Into a very hot iron pot you throw some sesame seeds and each seed burns and makes a quick sound. 2. Raindrops falling in a lake. You see many raindrops falling very quickly. It does not mean that when you are meditating you see these images. This is just a simile. When the raindrops hit the water sometimes a bubble appears and disappears immediately. There is not so much more to talk about in this fifth insight. That's all it is. You see things passing away very rapidly. You see the awareness also passing away very quickly. And this is happening continuously, not just one thing passing away and then you stop and think. You can see the passing away for hours, repeatedly. Because of seeing this passing away, continuously you feel that this process is dangerous. It is passing away so quickly you cannot rely on it. You cannot identify with it. You see it as dangerous but you are not afraid of it. Not being afraid is very important. If you start being afraid, there will be too much fear, you'll stop meditating. This does mean that it is an insight, because real fear comes due to identification. If there is no identification, and you see things as just passing away, impersonal, then it has nothing to do with you. You see that nobody can identify with this and hold on to it and rely on it. There is no reliance. There is nothing reliable in these mental and physical phenomena. Is seeing of danger fearful? No. Because fear is a kind of dosa, defilement. That comes from identification. You see that there is danger but you are not fearful. For example, if you see a tiger in the forest, you feel really afraid and you run for your life, but if you see a picture of a tiger in a zoo, you see that this beast is dangerous but you are not interested in it, you don't run away. Some people, when they become very fearful, they mistake this fear for a kind of insight. The real insight has no fear. Like a wise person, seeing that a child is playing with something dangerous says don't play with it because it is dangerous. But the wise man is not fearful. It is in the sixth insight, Bayanana, seeing it as a danger, that meditators don't become very joyful, not elated. In the fourth insight you have a lot of joy, you feel very elated and happy. In the sixth insight there is no strong happiness or joy anymore. Sometimes you feel very calm, not depressed, not excited. When this bayanana of seeing the mental and physical process as danger becomes mature, it moves towards seeing the disadvantages. In fact, it is just talking about the same thing, but looking at it from a different perspective. Disadvantage in Pali is adanava. You see that well that there is no advantage in this mental and physical process, it cannot make you happy. At this stage the meditator can see, that no matter what happened in the past, everything passes away, just like now. In the future also, no matter what will happen, good life, bad life, everything will pass away, just as it is happening now. So you don't even wish for a better life. Generally, people think that if they could be reborn in a better place, it would be so nice. But if you really see very closely and clearly this mental and physical process passing away, you can see what for, everything is passing away so quickly. What is the point of wanting anything at all? You don't want any kind of life at that moment. But if you lose this insight you still want. At the moment when you have that insight you can see that nothing is worth having, you cannot have anything. Whenever the person takes notice, it passes away, there is no attachment, no desire to keep it. The person sees that arising is danger, Apeta Bayam PTSI. 59. Becoming is danger. Happening is danger, Pavatam Bayam PTSI. 59. Whatever happens is dangerous. Even thinking anything can bring satisfaction, then trying to get it is danger, Ayohana Bayam PTSI. 59. Sometimes very brief thoughts come in, and in a glimpse the meditator understands the teaching of the Buddha if they have read anything. Very brief short words or sentences come into the mind also. Once, when I was meditating, the concluding part of Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination, arose in my mind spontaneously. At that moment you are not thinking about the meaning but its meaning becomes very deep and profound. The thing that came into my mind was, Eva Matassa Kivalasa Dukuk Handasa Samudeo Hoti and Eva Metasa Kivalasa Dukuk Handasa Narahohoti. Eva Metasa means in this way. Kivalasa, this is a very important word, means not mixed with anything. Dukuk Handasa means just a heap of dukkha. So it means just a heap of dukkha arises. Not mixed with any being. Not mixed with any satisfaction. Not mixed is very important. It means what arises is just pure dukkha and what passes away is pure dukkha. Not a being, not anything enjoyable, purely dukkha. In this way, this process, that is very unsatisfactory, arises and passes away. You don't see it as me or mine, not a being or a thing, just a process. You don't have any control over it, you can't say don't happen. One thing or another will happen depending on conditions. Sometimes people with a lot of knowledge will remember a lot of other things. Not arising is safe, Anupado Kimam PTSI. 59. If nothing happens it is quite safe. If anything happens it will pass away. There is no safety. Kimam also means nibbana. An idea that is very hard to understand is not arising is happiness, Anupado Suksam PTSI. 59. Mainly people think of happiness as something to enjoy. Here happiness means no suffering. That's why in the Four Noble Truths you find Dukkha-Sakka. But there is no Sukha-Sakka. In each of the truths there is the word dukkha, Dukkha Samadaya Sakka, dukkhanara asaka, etc. There is no sukha sukha. But sukha means the absence of dukkha. When there is no dukkha anymore, that is the happiest state. Anupado Nibbanam. PTSI.60 Not arising is Nibbana. After seeing the disadvantages of this arising and passing away, the meditator moves into the following insight. Named Nibbidana, disenchantment, the wisdom that is disenchanted or not delighted in anything anymore. In some ways Nibbida also means a kind of boredom, not boredom about meditation. But in the sense that seeing this arising and passing away, rising and passing away, there is nothing to get excited about. The same thing happening again and again, without an end. The person sees that there is nothing enjoyable there. In the beginning stages of the meditation, people become very happy, they experience a lot of pity, joy, rapture and a lot of peacefulness. At this stage the mind is calm, but it does not feel anything anymore. You see that everything is gone. It becomes very disenchanted and it doesn't even want to think about anything anymore. In the beginning you want to think. Thinking even becomes very enjoyable. You can think so well. But at this stage when you think and you watch the thought, it has gone, so you are left with emptiness. No thoughts anymore. Even thinking becomes boring. It is neither interesting nor enjoyable. So some people express that, I don't want to think anymore. Why think? It is not necessary to think. We are thinking too much. Even thinking about Dhamma is a kind of dukkha. In this stage one can understand it from these verses also. Sab saksa anaksa ti. Yada panaya pasati. Athanibindati duk. Esa mago visudaya dhpd 277. Sab saksa anaksa ti, saksa means anything conditioned, any kind of phenomena is saksa. Sab saksa anaksa means all the sakras are anaksa. Yada panaya pasati, when one sees this with wisdom. Athanibindati duk. Then you become very disenchanted with dukkha, with suffering. Esa mago visudaya, this is the way to purity. Because you don't get attached to it, you don't get upset about it anymore, you are totally detached. Sab saksa dukkha ti. Yada panaya pasati. Athanibindati duk. Esa mago visudaya. DHPD 278. The first verse, DHPD 277, is about anaksa. The second, DHPD 278, is about dukkha. The meaning is almost the same. But the third verse is a very important one. Sab dhamma anatta ti. Yada panaya pasati. Athanibindati duk. Esa mago visudaya. DHPD 279. In the first two verses you see Sab Sankara Anaksa, Sab Saksa Dukkha, but the third is Sab Dhamma Anatta. Here it, Dhamma, includes everything there is. I have met a few people who have argued that the Buddha said that the five khandhas, conditioned aggregates, are anatta, but he didn't say that there is no atta, soul. They came and asked me whether the Buddha said that the five khandhas are not self, anatta, but there is something else which is self, which the Buddha didn't deny. I answered no. Buddha said Sab Dhamma Anatta. Everything, every concept, even Nibbana is anatta, nothing left out. The word Dhamma includes everything. Nothing is left out. So everything is anatta. There is no such thing which we can call atta. So this verse is very important. Bayatapatthana Makamavatini Namani Labhati. VSM 651. Bayanana, Adanavanana, Nibbidana. These three insights are really the same insight, Ikamava, which gets, Labhati, three names, Tini Namani. Yasiya Bayatapathane Panayan Ca Adanave. Nanam Yasiya Nibbida, Iam e Dhamma Akatha. Byanjanam eva Nanam. PTS 2.63. When you see something as danger, Yasiya Bayatapathane Pana. When you see the disadvantages, Yan Ca Adanave Nanam. When you see something as very disenchanting, Yasiya Nibbida, all these are just one thing, I am e Dhamma Akatha, only, being called by, Different names, Bhyanjanam eva nanam. So there are 3 different names for one insight. You can see this one insight from 3 different perspectives. Danger, disadvantages, nothing to be happy about. The meditator, after seeing everything as danger, every arising and passing away as something disadvantageous, seeing everything as not worthy of getting enchanted. He wants to be free from all these things, he wants to get out from it, he gets very tired of it. This is called Munsitokamayatanana, wanting to be free. This is the next insight. Watching this body, all the 5 khandhas, the meditator can see that it is not worth getting attached to even one of them. He wants to become free from all sakras, he wants to escape. For example, if you are not happy in some places, you'll think of going away, finding another place happier and peaceful. You cannot find any happiness in these 5 khandhas. So you want to be free from them. Sometimes you find as well that, even this noticing is so tiring, noticing, watching, meditating, this is so tiring. You see how far you have come. In the beginning you get excited about the sense pleasure. When you start meditating you want to let go of this sense pleasure. But in meditation you become calm, peaceful and happy, and then you get attached to that. But when you get to this stage, you are not even attached to meditation anymore. Even that becomes very disenchanting. You want to be free from meditation also. This is rightly so, it is good. You want to be free from the object of meditation and from the meditating consciousness, you want to be free from both. You want to be free from the object and the awareness which is meditating. That means that you don't want to take notice of anything anymore. In some cases, people get so fed up with this watching of the phenomena of arising and passing away, that they think it would be nicer not to watch it anymore. They stop watching, they stop paying attention. Sometimes the mind just becomes blank. The mind does not get distracted towards any object, because this person's mind is so disenchanted that it cannot get interested in anything at all. If he stops meditating, the mind is still calm but cannot see the arising and passing away anymore. He finds this much better, more peaceful, and more enjoyable. The mind is still calm, just living in that blank space, in the void. However, if the person stays in that state long, he will lose clarity and then he will be back in hell again, no escape. Stopping the meditation is not the way to escape. So, the person pays attention again, seeing that everything lasts for a brief moment only. It lasts only between the rising and passing away, so short, it is just the process that makes things appear as something lasting. If you watch a screen movie, in a second it will project about 20 frames. For 20 times in a second the screen becomes dark but you don't see the blank, because our eye cannot detect it so quickly. We see somebody there moving. Actually there is no movement, just one frame after the other, all a bit different from each other. Because we don't see the gaps, it appears the same person moving. For a very short moment a frame comes, then it goes away, and then another one comes. In meditation you can see as much. For in 1 second you can see 20 frames gone. For a meditator with such a concentrated mind, 1 second is a very long time. Time becomes much distorted. Normally we have Vithasiddha and Bhavagasiddha. Vithasiddha means the mind that observes whatever is happening here, now. Bhavagasiddha is a kind of ground state of the mind which has no clear perceptible strong object. It just maintains life and the continuity of the consciousness without any present object. Normally people have this gap very wide, of long duration, this maintenance of consciousness which is called Bhavangasiddha. One consciousness arises and passes away, noticing whatever is happening now or thinking about something, and then a gap. And then another consciousness process arises, passes away, and in that process is also awareness of some object or any kind of idea or thought, and then a gap again. Normally people have a wide gap. The wider the gap the less we know, the more absent-minded we are. When we meditate more and more, the mind becomes sharper and sharper and the gap in between becomes smaller and smaller. So, in the same time process, We have more awareness in between. Awareness becomes compacted into this time span. For example, in the beginning, we can pay attention to one moment of awareness in 1 second, then after a while 5, 10, 15, 20 etc. The more awareness you have, the longer time appears to be. What is time? Time is actually just an idea. When you are totally unaware of anything happening, totally unconscious, your mind is not aware of any time. Once in a while, in this kind of insight state, very brief short thoughts come, such as nothing is stable, kala, everything is moving and shaking and it does not last. Thoughts like these arise in the mind. Also, there is no lasting substance there, asarika, everything is insubstantial. Sometimes also, sayadaw, things arise because there are causes for them to arise. Very brief thoughts like these come in. Sometimes the meditator feels that this continuous arising and passing away is oppressing, like a torture, giving no break. It's like somebody is making a very sharp sound continuously. After a while it becomes very irritating, like a torture. He observes arising and passing away so long that he feels like he is trapped in the arising and passing away. This is just a trap, a torture. Sometimes this is unbearable. This object is dukkha. This arising and passing away is painful. Having to watch it arising and passing away is also painful. Sometimes you see that life is a chronic disease, it goes on and on, no matter how healthy you think you are, it is always arising and passing away. Don't think too much about it, otherwise you become depressed. So these glimpses of thoughts come naturally, take notice of them, let them go. Don't stop and think too much. If you stop and think, you can think very well, because the mind is not distracted. You can write Dhamma books. But don't stop and think. If you think too much, you'll become very depressed. When you think, you identify. Thinking makes you feel that you are thinking. Thinking makes you feel like there is continuity, thinking connects. If you don't think, there is no connection between one happening and another happening. If you think, you connect. So thinking is what makes us feel like there is a continuity and connection. If you don't think, there is no connection, no continuity, something arising and passing away, that's all, no meaning. Sometimes you feel this arising and passing away is like a thorn in the flesh. Sometimes also you feel that life is a sickness. When you talk about these insight states, it sounds so negative, very pessimistic. You see it as a danger without warning. It's like a time bomb. You can die any moment. Anything can happen at any moment. So unpredictable is life. This process is not something where you can go and hide and feel safe, adana. No hiding, no refuge. These are the kind of glimpses that come. When people get attached to these objects, which are the objects of attachment, they defile the mind. You can see them as objects of defilements. Even in this stage you see dukkha. But it is different from the kind of dukkha that you experience in the beginning stages of the practice. In the beginning stages you don't see dukkha as each moment arising and passing away. However, in this stage whatever arises and passes away you see it as dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, but you see it as one thing after the other very clearly. All the vipassananas are actually only anicca, dukkha, and anatta. If you talk of vipassananas in brief, there are only 3. You can even make them into one nana. It is all arising and passing away. Here we're explaining it in detail. Actually any insight is anicca, dukkha or anatta. Even after the first stage of enlightenment you'll experience the same thing in more depth, more profoundly. Sometimes you see that this process does not belong to anybody, there is nobody who owns it. These processes have no owner. You pay attention to hearing, it arises and passes away. You know that you don't own this hearing. It's already gone. We think that this body is mine, feeling of ownership, and I hear. In these insight stages you can see that nobody owns these natural processes. Also you see that you cannot overrule it. You cannot tell the process happen like this, don't happen like this, stay and don't come. There's no ruler. You can also see that they are empty. Void of being, of self-atta, no soul. Not a man, not a woman. So there are different aspects of anicca, dukkha, anatta. Although once in a while the meditator feels like stopping meditating. What is the point of looking at these things that are so unsatisfactory? You see the same again and again. But after a while the meditator comes to understand that stopping is not a solution. It is best to keep going, to keep noticing, to keep moving, there is no other way. For some people each insight takes quite a long time. For some people it takes a brief moment, maybe a few minutes, a few hours, a few days. To some it might take a few months. It depends on the person's motivation. If you think that you have a long time and you want to investigate one insight slowly and thoroughly, it may take a long time. If you don't want to do that, you can pay more and more attention and speed up the process. Sometimes in this stage meditators begin to think that my meditation is not as good as it used to be. This is very dangerous. Sometimes they feel unhappy about their meditation. Actually they are unhappy about the process, but this unhappiness is switched over to another object. Thinking that my meditation was very good but now it's not very good anymore, I don't see things very clearly. Because when something goes slowly it stays and you can see things very clearly. But in this stage it goes so fast that you don't know what to do. You can't even see it because it is gone, so fast. Everything is so uninteresting. In the fourth insight, things were very interesting. But now it's not so interesting anymore. It becomes a little bit boring. Be very careful. When you feel bored just remind yourself. It is getting better. Some people stop and quit. And many teachers said what a pity. How sad. They have to go on meditating. Then they will break through. But they just stop and quit. They become very discouraged. So don't be discouraged, keep going. This is Patisankanana, the ninth insight. Bayanganana passing away. Bayanana seeing danger. Adanavanana seeing disadvantages. Nibbidhanana being very disenchanted. Munsitokamyadanana wanting to be free. P. Adisankanana going back to meditation. If you want to be free you cannot run away, so go back to meditation. The next insight will be Sankarapekhanana, which is very deep, very important, and very interesting. After the 10th there are other insights but they happen in a split second, so you cannot do anything about it. Beyond the 10th insight there is no coming back, it goes on very quickly. One very interesting and surprising thing is that when the potential Buddhas come to this 10th insight, they will stop here, they won't go on. And the ability to stop here is really amazing, that one will stop there and not cross over. Because an arahant does not become a Buddha. Question and answer. I feel very strongly for people. Sometimes I become very sad. You overcome sadness when you become an anagami. I am not an anagami. So I feel, but I know it will be over and don't get caught in it. I don't get angry, I just feel very sad, which is a kind of dosa also. These people are looking for something beyond sense pleasure, beyond money. They have very good intention, very beautiful intention, and I feel sad because they have wasted their life, such a waste. If people like these get good guidance they can learn and grow. They have missed a very valuable opportunity. Also I was thinking that there might be many other people like them, seeking something spiritual, seeking some kind of freedom. But they don't have a good teacher, good guidance. This incident is just the tip of the iceberg. This can happen again. Something needs to be done. I don't mean that one person is responsible for it, the whole community is responsible for it. We cannot do anything for the whole world. But let's think of what we can do here and now. What can we teach our friends, our children? Saying that it is their karma does not solve the problem. We need to find a solution, it might happen to your children or grandchildren. People are feeling lost. Those who died were not poor. I have heard a lot about them. They were very rich. Why did they die? Why did they kill themselves? Why did their leader, their teacher tell them to kill themselves and help them to die? Question and answer. In Buddhist teaching, blaming totally on past karma is not the right view. If we say we cannot do anything about it, why try to do anything at all? If I say I have the karma to be enlightened, why bother at all with meditation? We are doing something that with the help of past karma and what we do now, which is present karma, we can do something. Even if the past karma has some sort of bad effect, if we do something now, it can change the direction of the past karma, block the past karma. We need to have a lot of confidence in our present karma. Totally submitting to past karma is a kind of michadithi, wrong view. Buddha did not teach that we cannot do anything. In some cases, when someone died, Buddha said that he had enough past karma to become an arahant. But he didn't try. If you don't try, it won't happen. Past karma plus present karma is very important. No matter what happened in the past, you need a good teacher now, you need to practice now. It is like guiding an aeroplane. There are many other forces like windstorms, and many things happening, and the plane also has its own energy. Maybe one engine stops, with the other engine the pilot is trying to guide the plane, taking into account the wind and all the other things, trying always to adjust. This is what we do in our life. We are always adjusting. We can guide our life towards a goal. We have partial control and partial freedom. We need to understand this very well and make the best use of it. We can guide our lives towards a goal. We need to understand this very well and do the best we can. We are born here, we had no choice of parents in a way. We have no choice of our color, stature, body or whatever, but we do have some choices. We have the choice of developing our qualities. This is very encouraging. Our karma is in our hands. We are very much affected by past karma. I know this very well. What I did in my past lives affects me very much, very strongly in either good and bad ways. After I understood karma, I thought that whatever happens in my life, it is perfectly okay, it should happen that way, but it doesn't mean that I have no control. It happened, and the way I understand it and I respond to it is my present karma. Understanding and proper way of responding is very important, and that is in my hands. If I have good teachers, good guidance, and if I can understand things properly, I can guide my life. This is very encouraging, and also very empowering. We are not powerless, if we develop mindfulness and wisdom, we have a lot of power. We don't need to be depressed and give up. Never give up. When I was young, I was unhappy about many things. I had a very painful childhood, not just childhood but until my late 20s I have had many painful experiences, and many times I thought of ending my life, be over with it. Something deep in me said not to do it, that this was just a stage I had to go through, a learning process, to do something good now and learn out of this experience. We need these experiences. Without painful experiences, we don't learn, we don't grow up. Now, when I look back into my life, I see that I have been exposed to many different things, many teachers, many different religions, interests, different painful experiences. Now I understand that all this helped me to become a better person. I have learned many lessons and I am happy about it. It is very important to understand this. Question: when you talk about having sharp awareness, the length of Bhavagasiddha is shortened, also relating to perception of time, could you explain it? Answer: during sleeping, deep sleep, we have continuous Bhavagasiddha. For that stretch of time we have no awareness of time anymore. We don't know how long we have slept. Sometimes we think we have slept for a long time and look at the clock and it is only a few minutes. Other times we feel we haven't slept enough, but actually by checking the time we realized we slept for many hours. We lose track of time. The longer the Bhavagasiddha, the more we lose time. We don't get the time that we spend on Bhavagasiddha. The longer we spend noticing, the more time we get. When we meditate, we develop Vithasiddha or Process Siddha, which is the Siddha that is aware of the present. The more we practice, although it will go to the ground state, Bhavagasiddha, again, it will not stay there long. Another consciousness will arise with full energy. So the Bhavagasiddha span becomes shorter and shorter. Say if you are aware once every second, in 10 seconds, you can have 10 consciousnesses only and in between only Bhavaga. If you pay more attention it can become 100. That means you get more time there. You get to do more things in that time span. You can take notice of more phenomena. In that way you feel like you have more time. In 1 second 4 insights can happen, the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th insight. How can that happen in such a short duration? Question: can you cultivate these insights without being in a monastic situation? Answer: yes, it is possible. It depends on a lot of other factors too. Some people at the time of the Buddha and even now, and I know some of them who are lay people, have developed very deep insights. Question and answer: only thinking makes you identify. That is why I warn you so many times not to think too much. Brief thoughts naturally come, just notice them and let them go. Thinking makes you identified with them. When thinking arises, just know it. In between insights, flashes of thoughts come which are very clear. You are not deliberately thinking. Conceptualizing is as well one of the functions of the mind. It happens naturally. In any insight, brief flashes of thoughts come. In a way it is just clarifying the insight. It is useful, but when it becomes too much it becomes a hindrance. Question and answer: path and not path happen in the fourth insight, becoming attached to the pleasurable meditative experiences and seeing that this is not the right path, and then back to meditation. This is also a kind of reflection, thinking, but this is right thinking. Samadhi, samasakapa, are necessary factors. In English, right seeing, right thinking or right reflection. Question and answer: some people leave meditation, they want to escape. Some people really get up and go away. They want be free. Free from what? No matter where you go you'll always carry your 5 khandhas with you. Sometimes the desire for freedom, the desire to go away, is misdirected into going away from the surroundings. This can happen unknowingly. In my experience, when I got to that stage in practice, I didn't want to live in that monastery anymore. I thought this is not a good place. I wanted to find a better place, quieter, more remote, more peaceful, too many distractions here. So, wanting to go away from this process is misdirected to wanting to go away from the meditation place. Sometimes very sad things happen, people quit jobs, leave marriages. Even that happens, they want to be free, but free from what? It happens because they start thinking and see everything as unsatisfactory. They find that the job, the person they are living with, the place where they are living is not good. They want to go away, to be free. We cannot go away and live on the moon, we have to be in the world, live with people. That's why when in meditation, when the person comes to that stage, it is very important to warn them not to think, to just meditate, because if you think, you direct the desire or the wanting to be free to another object, which can cause a lot of confusion. It's very difficult to explain actually even to yourself. Sometimes it can happen very quickly, you don't know what happened, you feel very different but you don't know what happened. It is very important to discuss it with your teacher who has meditated and has had all those experiences and who has studied, to be able to understand how these things happen and why they happen. Also discuss with other meditators who have really, wholeheartedly meditated and experienced all those things. One person cannot experience everything in detail. So if you have other people and teachers with whom you can discuss, and if you have had that experience for a long time, then you understand it very deeply. So when a meditator becomes very disenchanted and looks very sad and not interested in anything anymore, sometimes one does not feel like eating, even food is not interesting, a good teacher can see that he is going through the disenchantment feeling. And can encourage and warn as well, keep practicing, don't get upset, and don't go away, it is something you have to go through. Some people think that after the fourth insight, everything will be more enjoyable, happier, more exciting, and more joyful. No, that does not happen. It goes down. We develop deeper insight and we don't feel happy. But this is not depression. Question and answer. Living in a secluded place with not much to do is very useful to develop quicker samadhi and insight. But Buddha was very compassionate as well. Once I told my teacher that instead of becoming a monk I would rather become a hermit, because a monk is too dependent on people. Being a hermit I could grow my own vegetables and cook my own meals, and be independent because if you live a very simple life you need very little. My teacher said not to becoming a hermit, instead he suggested I should become a monk. At that time, I wasn't yet a monk. He asked me whether I knew why Buddha didn't allow monks to grow and cook any food. I said I didn't really understand why, considering that the Buddha himself had been a hermit for a long time. My teacher said yes, but that was before he became a Buddha. If you monks grow your own food and cook your own meals and stay away from people who will carry on the teaching, as you won't be in contact with people, who will teach them? To be in touch with people is very important. But it is also as important sometimes to be on your own. My teacher explained this to me very kindly, very gently, and very compassionately. He convinced me to become a monk. I said that I didn't want to teach and that the only thing I wanted to do was to live my life peacefully and quietly. Actually, you know I am a very shy person, some of you might have noticed it. When I was young I didn't talk much. If I was asked to give a talk even for 5 minutes, I would get so agitated that I said things I didn't mean to say and I was so ashamed of it that I thought I would never give a talk. Later when I became a monk some people asked me to give the 5 precepts, I couldn't even do that. I mixed everything up and made many mistakes with the precepts. I really thought this is not for me, I don't want to give talks, and I can't talk. My teacher gently encouraged me to go and give talks. Actually I ran away. Many times my teacher said come and stay with me and help and teach. I said, no. One evening I went to him, I said I am going away, I will pay respect to you, I ask for your forgiveness if I have done anything wrong. I ran away and hid for a few years. For 6 years because he wanted me to stay near him and teach. He wanted to take me to the West, to America. I told him I didn't want to go. Why did I need to go there? Very slowly, patiently, and compassionately he encouraged me to teach. Question and answer. Actually I didn't come back on my own. I was sick with tonsillitis and malaria and I happened to be in the same city that my teacher was. I was very sick with high fever every day and a friend said to go to the city and get good treatment because if I stayed there I would die. I went to the city and got the tonsils removed at the hospital. 10 days after the operation when I was starting to recover and I could speak a little bit I was told that my teacher was in that city. My teacher heard that I was in that city and had had an operation, so he inquired about my health. I thought, what shall I do now, I can't run away. I went and paid respect to him and he said to stay there. I thought, oh goodness, I can't say no again. He said that in 2 years he would be going to America again and to be prepared for that. I said, okay, I'll go there with you and come back with you, because I knew he wouldn't stay there. He said that was okay and that he would not leave me there. So I prepared for 2 years because I had totally stopped reading. Reading is such a burden, you have to understand, remember, and translate it into English, and I had to know the equivalent of Pali words in the English language. Trying to find Pali English dictionaries and to memorize thousands of words, so much dukkha to memorize things. I gave up learning and thinking for so long and it was so nice. It took 2 years of preparation, studying every day. When we went to America he said that we would be there only for 4 months and I thought that was okay. After 4 months that we had been there he said that he would be going back and that I was to stay. He said this very compassionately, and it is very difficult to say no to my teacher. He would say something in such a gentle way, he didn't expect you to say no, he never expected anybody to say no. He said people here are very happy that you are here, please stay if you can. I said all right, I will not ask permission from you anymore, and I want to know that you have already given me permission to go back when I want to go back, whenever." He replied, "Okay, you can go back when you want to." I thought 3 more months, altogether that made 7 months, but I could not leave for 14 months. I then thought, this is enough for me, I am very glad to have come here, I have learned a lot, but I have to go back. Many of my friends said, "We will make you feel guilty for abandoning us. They are great Pali scholars but cannot speak English." I told them that I had done as much as I could, and I asked them to give me permission to go. When I came back, my teacher said that a monk needs some time to spend alone and do his own practice, and be in touch with people as well. Many times I told my teacher that I hadn't learnt enough yet. He replied that if I waited until I learnt enough, I would die before I had learnt enough. How much is enough? He also warned me not to identify myself with being a teacher, to be very humble. This is very important. I know a lot of people made a lot of mistakes. A lot of teachers make the mistake of being proud of being a teacher. They are not humble enough. Humility is very important. I am helping you as much as I can. I don't know everything, I know something, and I try my best to help you. I cannot give you complete knowledge, because I have only partial knowledge. I don't know everything, but as much as I know, I want to share with you. Other teachers will come and help you to learn some more. That's all I can hope for. I'll be here for 4 months, and as much as it is possible, I'll help you.